The first topic tonight is about the shots are coming too fast. So last week I did a little bit of a critique of the Duke goalie with the one leg down technique thing, and a lot of people were asking questions about that, and so some of our parents reached out to the Duke goalie to ask like what the hell's up, and but also I this past week, with some of my Lacrosse Goal University clients who are like college age, um, we were discussing kind of that clip because obviously it's been, everybody's been seeing it. But the idea is the feedback that I'm getting from my athletes, and I get this every year. It's not that this is new, and I've been barking about this for years now. But the game of lacrosse, especially for the boys, but this is also true for the girls. Okay, the game of lacrosse has gotten so fast that the velocity of the shots have gotten so fast. So if you heard me say like, at some point the shots come from too fast, from too close, or too like they're too fast or too close. But what that has done is that has created like a shot from further and further out is now threatening. Whereas ages ago, probably for your coach or your coach's coach, um, you could get shot on by 13 yards, 14 yards, 15 yards, time and room. And you were like, all right, I got plenty of time to move my stick to all of that. And as those shots moved in at those same velocities, well, then it got more difficult. But now we're seeing velocities from like way out, um, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 yards, long poles with carbon fiber shafts shooting like, time and room shots. But even not just time and room shots, shots where, guys are getting their stick free, like in close and whipping a shot from low to high. The bottom line is that shots are coming too fast for a goalie to effectively react to the ball, see the ball, identify where it's going, and then move their stick in front of it. That's why I've been such a proponent or vocal proponent of like, okay, goalies need to be more aggressive to the shot. They've got to be better protected. They got to play big in the hopes that they will get hit, or they will have a chance to then maybe get their stick on it. And this led me to an interesting discussion this week with a mom of a college age goalie, like a female goalie, Division II goalie, and we were going back and forth on some goalie audits with them, and so she was sending me some clips, and she was like, "Well, it looks like my daughter is reacting to the ball and getting her stick on it," and there's something very unique to goaltending where for those of you that have young goalies right now and they're kind of in X's and O mode, it's like, okay, you got to see the ball, you got to know where it's going, you got to move in front of it. What happens is they're all that takes a lot of time, right? And so it can be, I call this the X's and O's, but what happens is a goalie starts to develop like an art, and where they are seeing the player, they're learning the language of lacrosse, they're seeing the shots starting to come, and it almost, if you slow it down, if you slow the video down and look at the goalie, it's not like they're still and the shooter is dodging or moving or doing whatever, and then all of a sudden the shot leaves the stick, and there's a moment where the goalie is still, and then they move. It's really this organic play between the goalie and the shooter. And the goalie starts to kind of morph and move and anticipate. And really it's a level of cheating. So what happens is young new goalies that are trying to react to everything are slow to the ball. And a lot of times they see the ball, they identify where it's going, but they just can't get there in time because it just takes too long. But then they go through a phase where they start to anticipate and they start making some saves, but then they get sloppy and they start cheating. You could really call it cheating. It's like it's beyond baiting. It's like they're already starting to move to the space before the shot's taken, as opposed to like being patient, waiting, giving up a space, and then seeing the shot go. It's not really easy to explain this, but what happens is goalies will then they'll make some saves, and they'll feel really good about themselves. They'll surprise themselves, and they're like, "Hey, I'm doing all right." And then they'll go through a phase where they're actually not making saves, but they feel like they're doing the same things. That's when they have to like reel it back in to then start to react. But the problem is this is where the shots are coming now too fast. And so there are certain plays in a lacrosse game. This is where like I don't like saying this, but sometimes I feel like the lacrosse goalie, the field lacrosse goalie, is at such a disadvantage compared to any other goalie in any sport that it makes it very frustrating sometimes to even coach a goalie. I'll be honest. Like I've got a goalie this year that'll probably be like an Armour All American. If it goes well, he'll be an All American. He's top of his age group, top of his class, and like it's just yeah, it's gonna happen, right? But there are times even coaching him where you're like, uh, that shot is just, and I hate to say this, but it feels like it's unstoppable, right? And that's where we we have to maintain a belief that we can stop every ball. But the question is like, well, how? So currently, and for those of you guys that have listened to me over the years, like the average save percentage for the boys and the girls, like it's to me, it's abysmally low. So the next level, the next proactive level, which is kind of what that Duke goal is trying to do, where he's trying to like basically take up space. That's basically what he's doing. And from a message that I got from a parent who had talked to that goalie this week, um, that's the tactic. The tactic is like, okay, he's going to drop down on that particular side to take up that space. Well, my question then is like, why don't you take up more space? Like, why don't you attempt to? Because basically, what the goalie is saying is like, I can't, I don't have time to react to cover the whole net. I may have some opportunity to my stick side, but the rest of me just has to play really big. And so, one of the things that I teach my goalies in Lacrosse Goalie University, the goalies where we work with privately, is that we want to play like offset in the cage. We want to basically we try to get shots to our stick side. We want to take up as much of our off stick side as possible and be big, whether that's we play out, right? We come out at the shooter, just like my hand to the camera right now. It's, you see like it just takes up more space, right? The other thing is playing sides or, where, I finally, this is always every year. So one of the things I tell my goalies is like, I want you to like try to get the largest jersey you can get your hands on. And so sometimes teams are recycling jerseys. So I'm not talking pennies. I'm talking like an actual jersey, because I want the gussets and the armpits big. Like I want to give that as an opportunity for a goalie to make a save if they can, if that shot goes there and they can. That's what hockey goalies do. Is they have massive gussets in their armpit, right, to catch that puck or between their legs. But sometimes, teams just order up jerseys and whatever, and they just hand out numbers. Sometimes they'll pre-size them, and that's cool. And the goalie will be like, "No, I want the biggest jersey I can find." And this year already, one of my goalies did that. He didn't go like, XL or whatever, double XL, whatever it was. But he went like a step up, and he's made 2 saves this year because of that. And so your goalie needs to be kind of applying those tactics. And last week we talked about this, right? Like the idea of pushing the boundaries, pushing the limits of the rules, right? Pushing the limits of the rules. So to give your goalie an advantage. So, what do they wear under their sweatpants? How baggy is the crotch in their shorts? Like, because you'll make a couple saves during the year because of that, right? Like, nothing like having a bounce shot that you miss that goes between your legs, and yet it catches the back of your shorts, and that ball rides up and gets stuck above like your glute, like above between your butt cheek and the waistband. It happens, right? It happens. Well, if that makes you 2 or 3, 4 saves a year, the that can be a game changing, moment, right? So you got to utilize that stuff because the general consensus, and this gets more and more um, important every year. It's that the the shots are only going to get faster, right? I think they've I mean, I think they've plateaued. For those of you guys who've been around the sport now for a while, like we saw athletes get bigger, faster, stronger. Okay, now we have that, And then we have now carbon fiber shafts and things like that. And so now we have that. The girls that now have pockets that have tremendous lip in them. So they've got tremendous control. So I think that we've seen this like hockey stick improvement. Now it's going to taper, but now we need the goalies to catch up. Right now we need the goalies to catch up and just be like a game changer, right? I want you to be a game changer. And so that's the theme. So when you realize the shots are coming too fast and you can't get your stick to all of it, you have to adopt those secondary tactics. And then as coaches and parents who work with these kids, you have to teach your goalie how to play differently, right? And that's where, if we do camps this summer, that's what I'll be teaching at those camps. It's the stuff that I teach my goalies in Lacrosse Goalie University, but we'll be doing it like face to face. Okay. So I hope maybe this summer you'll join us. Okay. So, any questions there? Any thoughts, any comments, right? For years we've seen coaches, warming up goalies from the same distances and all that stuff. And the idea is we got to be pushing the envelope because the goalies have not caught up. All right. And so, I can't stress it enough. All right. Good stuff. Good questions. If you guys can email me, Coach Edwards at lacrossegoalietips.com, or send me a message on Facebook too. All right, guys. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening wherever you are. Do me a favor, hit the like button if you like this, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. When you're ready, head on over to lacrossegoalieuniversity.com/coaching so I can work with you and your goalie. And while you're at it, check out athletespecific.com to learn more about mental performance and high performance. You may not know this, but I work with athletes in a variety of sports. Lacrosse is my love, but man, I love athletes and the families who support them. So head on over to athletespecific.com, check it out. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.